We have this thing, you got to mute my ear or else I hear feedback. So Michael's job in the checklist is to make sure it's muted. So we always joke it has to be an odd number. So Michael's like, is it triple muted? Because then it'd be muted, unmuted, and then muted again. Justin says it's quadruple muted. No, that means it's not muted. And I'm like, well, it's like doing a 360. You're right back where you started. You got to do a 180. No. That you got to go back. I know you're wrapping up school, but you better go take a math class in that. Man, do we got a lot to talk about? The Dan Bongino deputy director appointment meltdown on the in the media continues, which is like nothing I've seen in a while. It is. I know you're all watching, so hello. And they're confused as to some of them why I'm doing my show still. Why would you be confused? I have a job. The job has to wind down. This isn't anything. Would you prefer I just take the spot while I have contractual obligations elsewhere? Because I'm pretty sure that's a violation of government ethics rules. I'm really puzzled. The media response is incredible, and especially from some of the people who were on the wrong side of just about every major story. How they speak with such certainty about my character and what I've done, although I've never met most of these people, is bizarre. Your political opinions are to absolutely be respected, okay? Freedom of the press, you do your thing. But it's incredible how much insight they claim to have into who I am, despite never having met me or having zero experience with me in a professional environment at all. None. But we'll cover that, and I will talk about the future of the show. I've got some real great news for you guys. I promised you we were going to leave you with something special, and I will. Healthcare in America has turned into a complicated mess. You should be able to protect yourself and your family without jumping through hoops. That's exactly why All Family Pharmacy offers a no-hassle way to get the medications you need. Just complete the form online. A licensed doctor provides the prescription, and your meds ship fast right to your door. Ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, emergency antibiotics, or other essential medications, you've got it. No more fighting the system for the treatments you want. And let's be real. The last several years showed us exactly why you can't rely on insurance companies to have your back. If you want to be prepared for whatever comes next, stock up now before the next crisis hits. That's why I use All Family Pharmacy. They step up when the system fails you. Get help today by taking control of your health. Go to allfamilypharmacy.com/Bongino. Use code Bongino10 for 10% off your order. Don't wait until you need it. Stock up now. That's allfamilypharmacy.com/Bongino. Code Bongino10, All Family Pharmacy, and its products are not intended as a substitute for professional medical treatment or advice. Consult with your healthcare provider. All right, fellas, another big show today. Folks, I'm just going to come out right away and give you, again, the bottom line up front, which I do all the time. The last show, podcast for me, for my show, not any of our other shows. Evita, Haley, Karania, which is coming very soon, and another surprise for you. The last Dan Bongino show, because I have to separate myself. Obviously, ethics rules, I hope you understand legally. I've been on the phone with lawyers and everyone else, getting this dotting the I's, crossing T's, make sure it's done right, is going to be March 14th. So I hope until then we can have a good time together. And I'm just going to say briefly to my critics out there, I obviously have always said this, by the way, have we not, fellas? I respect your right and freedom of the press and your freedom to speak out. I respect it in an ironclad way, but I don't have to agree with you. And the critics here, some of them, they write the same hit piece over and over. It's unbelievable. Can you write something new? It's amazing how the same lines. Has promoted theories. Can you cite them? Because it seems like our theories were correct about what happened with the weaponization of government. Why do you think I chose to accept this position? To bring us back to constitutional moorings and a republic and a nonpartisan, non-weaponized system. The hit pieces are, at this point, almost laughable. The hysteria that's set in, as if you think I'm like you. It really is one of those Psychology 101 projection moments where I think you're so used to using these nonpartisan, let me say a third time, nonpartisan positions for political purposes that you're stunned that someone like me who's actually done a nonpartisan job in a nonpartisan way would choose to take a job like that. I know that surprises you, but you don't know anything about me. And it's it's just, I mean, where we're sitting here and we were cutting clips of the worst media meltdowns to this, and we didn't even know which ones to put in the show. They just, one is worse than the other one on the hysteria level. So a couple of things. The last show will be March 14th. I don't want to get all, I've already turned in my man card 4 or 5 times, and we've got a couple weeks left with you to enjoy the Bongino family here, and I want to enjoy it with you. And thank you, by the way, for everyone in the chat. I really appreciate it. You guys, Machuchi, love you, Dan the man, love you guys too. I really appreciate it. You guys actually melted down the chat yesterday. So what's the future? What is it going to look like going forward? This portfolio of shows we have, because first, folks, again, we fought a lot of tough battles together, and we've won some, we've lost some, but we've been through a lot, and I'm not going to leave you without high quality content. We've always had this production company, whether it involved books, whether it involved movie projects, whether it involved the podcast. The business side was always run by Paula. My wife, Paula, has been a rock. She has been, I don't think you guys even understand the depth of how involved she was in building out this media, whatever, empire. I don't want to sound self-congratulatory, but she is going to be taking over as president of the new company, and the new company will be divorcing itself from me and my business interests because of obvious ethics rules. The new company is going to be called Silver Loch. Silver Loch, L-O-C-H. Where did we get that name? Well, my wife and I, when we lived in Maryland, and at least for now, while it's still up, you see the next evolution there, Silver Loch, Dan Bongino Show. We have the early edition with Evita, the nightly scroll with Haley Karania. You're going to love it. Stand firm, speak loud, and lead boldly. Silverloch.com. Silver-L-O-C-H.com is the website. Will be run by Paula, who is already, she's just transitioning to president now from her prior position, where she was pretty much running day to day, no matter what. Where's the Silver Loch story come from? Short story. When we lived in Maryland, there was this beautiful house we wanted to buy so badly, and we didn't have a lot of money. I was working on a government salary, and I didn't have a ton of cash, but we wanted this house so bad. The killer thing about this house, and pun intended, is when we looked at it, it was a train wreck inside, and there was blood on the floor. Something had happened in this house, like, I don't know, Amityville Horror style. We didn't care. We loved it so much. We just couldn't afford it. And we never bought the house. And it was on Silver Loch Court somewhere in Maryland. And that became our kind of our synonym for dreams. Silver Loch, we wanted to own that house. So we bought the name a long time ago. We've been always looking to transition away from making it Bongino-centric, about me, to about everyone. So silverloch.com is going to be our new umbrella brand for everything. Folks, you got to understand, Andrew Breitbart was right. Politics is downstream of culture, and culture shapes everything. Culture shapes everything, and that is our goal here. So here's what's going to happen going forward. These shows will continue. We are going to get a guest host. I will leave the surprise. We're working on this person right now. We're very excited, a very, very, very talented individual. We are hoping to seal this deal soon. The guest host will be in this specific time slot. While I'm gone, it'll be run by Paula. We're expanding. We're scaling. The company is not going to be shrinking. It's going to be divorced from me, but we're setting the foundation for something that'll last. We'll have some big announcements coming soon. So please keep watching. And we were working all weekend. Thank you to the team. Paula first, of course, Tyler, Daniel, JP, Julian, Gavin, Dustin. Thank you for the whole team. We've been putting a ton of work into making this transition away from me and into this new business I have to separate from. So I hope you enjoy this. We put this it's just about a minute video we put together for you to launch our new production company here under Paula's guidance as president. So check this out.
You understand?
They've told us what to believe, what to accept.
You understand?
They've told us what to believe, what to accept, and what we can't say. But we know the truth. Our values endure. Good people must stand up and create in every corner of culture. We don't chase trends. We set them. Because culture shapes everything. And if we don't shape it, something else will. This is a place where the truth is told, where convictions are lived out. This is Silverlock.
I hope you guys like it. We've been working really hard. Thank you to the team. When I say working almost without sleep, Paula and the team and Tyler's crew, they have the social handles. If you want to follow the new entity on Facebook, it's Silverlock. Again, it's LOCH at the end, Silver, common spelling, Silverlock. On Instagram, it's Silverlock Media. And on X, it's Silverlock Media as well. We will get you a true social handle as soon as we can as well. So all exciting news. I appreciate you guys tolerating all this logistics stuff, but you've been loyal members of this show and listeners for a long time. I am not going to leave you guys alone, I promise. So a couple of things too. Again, I just want to address my critics out there. You know, I'll say first, you know, freedom of the press is inviolable, but, you know, freedom to be ridiculous, that's yours, and you don't have to take us up on it all the time. You really should try writing something different. You're not going to impact my career decisions at all, not a little bit. I'm used to being attacked. But you are a journalist, so you should bedrock yourself in some semblance of fact. You don't know me, you've never met me, and if you're going to write the same piece over and over again, just put like an appendix, like piece 1, 1A, 1B. It's getting kind of ridiculous. For the attacks, like, hey, how is he still doing his show? Because I have a job. I actually work for a living. This is a show that is supported by advertisements. There was a guy in the Washington Post who wrote an ad, stunned that we have advertisers. And I thought to myself, does the Washington Post subsist solely on subscriptions because they have advertisers? Do you not know how this works? Are you unclear about how a podcast radio show works? It is free because advertisers pay to speak to the audience. We have contracts. I can't believe I'm explaining this to media people. The government has very specific ethics rules, which I plan on complying with to the letter, and it is costing me a fortune to do it. Not a sob story, just a fact. You can't just sign up for the government while you're under contract. I cannot believe we have to explain this to people. This is what, like, journalists, you would think they would understand, and they do. They just play dumb. I have to wind the show down. We can't just walk away tomorrow from business partners who we had contracts with and say, hey, see ya, and then to our audience, hey, thanks for the memory, see ya, Jack. That's not the way I work. Again, they're called ads. Are you unaware of this business model? I'll wrap this part of it up here, but how would you suggest we handle it again? That we go and swear in while we're under contract to a private entity. Then you would write the opposite article. Dan Bongino violates ethics rules and doesn't break his contract. You understand how these people work? The show will continue as it always has until March 14th. Understanding fully, my job is to be a political opinion maker. My job after that is not to be a political opinion maker. It's to hold my political opinions to myself like I did my last job and do the nonpartisan, important work of keeping the homeland safe. Again, I know you guys don't understand that. My harshest of critics out there, how you can go into a job like this and put your politics aside. I do. I did it before under 2 Democratic administrations who I couldn't have disagreed with more politically. The guys put this together last night. The media reaction to my selection as deputy director of the FBI was, I don't know what to call it, hyperbolic, hysterical. And I don't mean hysterical in the funny way. I mean hysterical like, is this for real? Is this even? It's so out there. Like, my gosh, we got a guy with political opinions in government. I know that never happens at all. Really? Here was the MSNBC Morning Joe crew. This is, again, just indicative of what you're going to see over. And I want you to listen. They all have the same exact talking points. It's not going to affect or impact my career choices in any way at all. I promise you. Check this out.
Is that President Trump announced that former Fox News personality Dan Bongino will be second in command to lead the FBI. This is the latest in a series of Trump's controversial picks for high-profile law enforcement roles. Trump named Bongino as deputy FBI director yesterday. To note, that job is traditionally held by a career FBI agent. In fact, it's believed this is the first time a political appointee got that post. He is a former Secret Service agent and NYPD officer, though he has never served in the FBI. As a pro-Trump podcaster, he has advanced a number of baseless theories about the bureau he is set to lead. The appointment does not require Senate confirmation, but it's already receiving real backlash. Here's how one former FBI official reacted to Bongino's new role, saying in part, quote, "This is really concerning. Any hope that Kash," meaning Kash Patel, the FBI director, "could be steered by having experienced leaders around him is out the window. We now have two conspiracy theorists and election deniers running our premier law enforcement and intelligence agency. That is beyond problematic."
I'm sorry, I'm writing this down because this is the least of the hysterical. What they did, the fellas here, what they did is they graded up the hysteria with each one. So we've got 3 more, so don't go anywhere. But I'd be remiss if I didn't address it because you're going to hear these points over and over. What exactly is the conspiracy theory? You know, it's fascinating. I'm not even going to name my books because I don't care. I don't want to sell you anything. I'm not even interested. I assume they're referring to my books about the collusion hoax and the spying scandal. But the fascinating thing about my books is they're footnoted and endnoted extensively with their own reporting. You can look at it. You can actually read the books yourself and you'll find out that, oh, there may have been a conspiracy. There's nothing in the book that's theoretical. You notice how they never cite what they're talking about. Or when they do, they leave it in bird's eye view stuff because they know if they get down to the granular, they're going to be exposing their role in what they call a conspiracy theory, which was no theory at all. Second, election denier? Fellas, have we ever denied an election happened? The election happened. I don't know what election denier means. No, I really don't. I know what you think it means, but election denier means we're denying an election? Is that what that means? So wait, an election denier to you in the media is what? That I question the outcome of an election in 2020, which I stand by? Like Hillary Clinton, Stacey Abrams, Maxine Waters. You want me to list like 10 or 15 other Democrats? So we need to play the video of Democrats questioning every election they've lost. Are they election? Oh, no, they're not election deniers. You see how this journalism field works now? Hey, freedom of the press is inviolable. Listen to me. I actually believe in my oath in the Constitution when I take it. But you also have the freedom to be ridiculous. And calling us names, me and Kash, like election denier, when we've never denied an election. And I don't speak for Kash, I speak for me. I stand by my content. The New York Times themselves in 2012, look it up, wrote a piece by Adam Liptak questioning the efficacy of mail-in ballots. Look it up yourself. Was he an election denier too? Notice how the standards are no standards at all. You got to smile a little bit at the total meltdown. How they have no problem appointing the hardest of partisans to any position they feel like. Then you get a guy like me who's actually got a nonpartisan history doing this same kind of professional work. And all of a sudden they're freaking out. What evidence do we have he can act in a nonpartisan manner? I don't know. The fact that he did in his last job, I don't know. Quick break, and we'll graduate up here in meltdown mode. Nicole Wallace in shock over this, or feigned shock, and weirdly notices how I dress on the set. Kind of strange. Hey, how well do you sleep at night? Peace of mind can come from knowing your family's prepared for anything. My Patriot Supply is one of America's most trusted names in emergency preparedness. It's offering a limited time discount on their best-selling 3-month emergency food kit. It's not your typical survival food. Each kit provides over 2,000 calories, 100% of the recommended value of essential vitamins and minerals daily for 90 days with delicious meals and extras, including chicken, beef, fruits, and vegetables. We're talking quality meals that last up to 25 years in storage and still taste home-cooked. The pandemic taught us how quickly store shelves can empty. So don't wait for the next crisis. Your 3-month emergency food kit from My Patriot Supply includes free shipping, a disaster replacement warranty, and 24/7 USA-based support. The special discount's available for a limited time only. So visit MyPatriotSupply.com now to help secure your family's future with a $100 discount. If you order by 3 p.m., they'll ship your order within the same day, so you have peace of mind right away. Go to MyPatriotSupply.com. That's MyPatriotSupply.com. Oh my gosh, fellas, that was an ad. Do you believe it? That is so crazy, an ad. And a show that runs ads, nobody does that. Nobody. They've never seen that before. Right? You guys have never seen that, right? MSNBC, CNN. There's definitely no ads in the Washington Post. Okay, here's a gem. This is Nicole Wallace over at MSNBC. Again, has a problem with, I guess, my T-shirts. Okay. Nicole, I'll share a laugh with you on that one. I'm from Queens. Everything runs a little small in Queens. I don't know if there's something in the water. Obviously, I'd be wearing a suit and tie, so it would look a little different, but I found it kind of odd that that's the one thing you'd notice. Really strange. Check this out.
The conspiracy theories, the outrage, the tightness of the T-shirts, all of it surely floats Donald Trump's boat and is music to his ears. It's likely part of the very essence of the reason he was selected. But the job of Deputy Director of the FBI, the United States of America, is a serious job that affects every person living here, people around the world. It's the kind of job that has to be done well by whomever does it. If the Bureau stands any chance of actually catching real bad guys.
Okay. Yes, you're right. I know very little about catching real bad guys. Folks, bragging about your own resume is tasteless and it's loser material. I'm hesitant to even mention this. Is Nicole Wallace aware of what I actually did before? Why am I asking stupid questions? Of course she is. I don't know. 4 years with the NYPD, 2 as a cadet in the pattern identification module, eventually, investigating pattern criminals in Queens, New York, one of the boroughs. 2 years as a police officer in the 7-5 precinct, which anyone in the chat here from the 7-5 precinct, you want to tell everyone how busy the 7-5 precinct in Eastern New York, Brooklyn was? Anyone in the chat want to educate them? Then I left and went to the United States Secret Service, where I went to the New York field office, then transferred to the Melville office on Long Island, where I worked on a financial crimes task force. And you know what's really crazy? I work with guys from this 3-letter agency called the FBI. I'd give you their names, but it would be totally inappropriate. They had a LIRA, Long Island Resident Agency. They were on the task force. And we worked a case that was so big, we actually got an award from the Department of Justice. Matter of fact, the United States Attorney, his name was actually Stephen King. Yes, like the writer. Isn't that ironic? Who later went on to work at DHS. It was a $100 million plus credit card fraud case that had a nexus to terrorism. I'm sure Nicole knows a lot about that. Then I left to be an instructor at the Secret Service Training Academy. You guys are never going to believe what I taught. If I ever told you this, I haven't, because who really gives a about my resume, right? You know what I taught at the Secret Service Academy? And I encourage you to check this out, guys. There's like a FOIA. Call the Secret Service. Give them permission, right, to put all this out there. I taught criminal investigations for 2 years. So weird. What would I know about criminal investigations? I don't know. I taught them. Outside of that, no idea. And then I left to go to the Dignitary Protective Division. And then I left to go to Presidential Protection. On Presidential Protection, I protected Republicans and Democrats and was one of about 25 guys on the president's detail who were qualified to do lead advances. And then I left and went to the Baltimore field office, where we cracked a fraud case so big it was on the cover of the Baltimore Sun. You can just look that up, Baltimore Sun, Dan Bongino. Nicole doesn't want to. She's happy, content, sitting behind a desk, criticizing. See, I actually do. And Nicole has the right, the absolute right to criticize as a citizen of the United States first, but she is in the media. And I've always said, and will continue to always say, I respect that. And she has the right, when I get in the FBI and swear in, both Kash Patel and I, to critique whatever she wants. but that doesn't make what you say right, correct, or even remotely attached to reality. Sorry for the resume, folks, but I've never said that to you on the air. And I encourage anyone out there in the media to go and request from the Secret Service or the NYPD my personnel records. Have at it. And you'll see what I'm telling you is 100% accurate. So if you're going to say I have no experience with criminal investigations, I ask you to just try to be a journalist for a minute and back that up with receipts like we do on this show. It got worse. Here is Andrew McCabe, who is a featured actor in my book, in many of them. Andrew McCabe had the job I'll be taking as deputy director. He was quite upset on CNN, unsurprisingly, given what I've written about. And you can read it yourself. I'm proud of what we put together on it. So check this out.
Well, I'm stunned. I think, Breon, in the same way that I would expect most FBI people, current and former, are really shocked. I've heard from many of them in the last 24 hours. And this departure from 117 years of history and tradition is really remarkable, not because it's historic and that's a reason for continuing, but because the demands of the job are so unique. They are so broad, of such immense scope and responsibility, that it takes people an entire career, 15, 16, 17, 18 years before typically they're ready to fill this role. So a deep understanding of the FBI, its mission, how it accomplishes that mission, the different tools that are to be used, the capabilities of the workforce, all those things go into it. So to bring in someone who has no connection to that whatsoever is really stunning and dangerous, I would add.
None whatsoever. Zero connection to it whatsoever. Folks, listen, given the responsibility I've taken on right now, be inappropriate at this point to go into a long diatribe about Andrew McCabe's role in damaging the reputation of the finest law enforcement institution in the world. But I just encourage you to look it up, and you'll see for yourself what his, quote, expertise got him. It's... By the way, we have a great comment from the lovely Paula, who will now be the president of this new enterprise, silverlock.com. She says, like Nicole, Dan, I've always noticed your tight T-shirts too. Thank you. Well, in that case, I appreciate that. The lovely Miss Paula, President Paula Bongino, who is just transitioning to a new role. Guys, at least they're using, the old boss, same as the new boss, right? She's just going to be taking over in a bigger role now. This is glorious. Brian Stelter, he is back commenting on CNN. Brian was really, unhappy about this. And I want you again to see how the talking point went out. Conspiracy theory, without actually describing in any depth or journalistic, with any journalistic integrity whatsoever, what the theory is, that's a conspiracy, and the election denier thing, which is so ridiculous, I don't even know how to describe it. I am allowed as a citizen of the United States and a political opinion maker in my current role to question the outcome of an election. So are you. Here's Stelter. This is the best one. Check this out.
So this is not someone who's, just out there, gently promoting the Trump agenda. No, he is an incendiary figure, someone, as the New York Times said, a misinformation super spreader. And that makes you think about, as he comes into the FBI, how will he perform? What reality will he acknowledge? What reality will he recognize in this job?
It's no small thing. I mean, just think about the sentence you just said, Brian. What reality will he acknowledge while serving as the number 2 at the largest and most important federal law enforcement agency in the land?
And he will share it with Kash Patel. I mean, these are two men who are very much ideological equals. They are, they are doing this together. And now we know what the team is, what this is going to be.
I love how they show the picture of me with the shirt, "Don't feed the hipsters." I think of all the, and they show me smiling like I'm like the happy warrior I am. I mean, is it supposed to be a hit piece? I love Stelter's.
So this is not
look at that. "Don't feed the hipsters." Check it out. You see that? That's a real shirt, folks. It's not. Where's that from? I think it's from Lucky or something like that. I think Paula bought me that shirt. "Don't feed the hipsters." Kind of funny they picked that one. that big tattoo on me too, and I got to get rid of that one day. That thing is getting bad. But Stelter's adjectives to describe me are hilarious.
This is not someone who's, just out there,
He's incendiary. Incendiary, folks. Is there? Can you put the flames in the background? Can we do that? I know we've reserved it for special occasions. Yeah, I know. The background. So just a quick story. I know I got to take a break, but I don't want to bore you with this. But the new studio is done. Like done, really done. But Guy and the team are training. We don't want to get in there, and then it's a lot of new technology, and then the show melts down live. So this TV behind us, if you watch the Rumble show on the radio, has been melting down like every hour. So he's like, no flames. The TV may actually go on fire because we're not going to fix it. We're out of here in a couple days. So sorry, I don't mean to sound soupy, but we're not buying a couple $1,000 TV, but it's been freaking out. He's really afraid they hit the flames. Like the thing may actually go up in flames. There's a fire extinguisher. Imagine that on the show. You think we got a lot of viewers now? That would be crazy. Incendiary. I mean, Stelter says I'm incendiary. Yeah, whatever. I mean, of course they're going to say that. You guys do your thing. I get it, but I have my own voice until March 14th, which will be our last show. And again, I have a job. I know Brian Stelter and others can't fathom how a guy with strong political feelings like me who airs them in a show can swear an oath to put that aside. That's your problem. That's not mine. I did it before. I will proudly do it again. Take a quick break, couple more, and then an interesting video from Benny Johnson's show, an FBI whistleblower who I know, interesting here. I saw this yesterday when the guys played it for me. I said, let's throw that in the show. Quick break here. The average person today is feeling the financial strain now more than ever. Expenses are up, wages aren't keeping pace, and many people are finding it nearly impossible to make ends meet. With little left over after covering the basics, it's no surprise that many are resorting to credit cards just to get by, often carrying high balances and interest rates in the 20s or even the 30s. If you're a homeowner and you're stuck in this cycle of mounting debt, you need to call American Financing. Their salary-based mortgage consultants are saving homeowners an average of $800 a month, helping you put your hard-earned money back where it belongs. Plus, if you act now, you may be able to skip your next mortgage payment. There are no upfront fees, cost you nothing to find out how much you could save each month. It's time to break free from the stress of debt. Call American Financing today and take control of your financial future. The number is 888-994-7660. 888-994-7660, or visit them online. It's a .net address, americanfinancing.net, NMLS 122334, NMLSconsumeraccess.org. And our last sponsor today is Beam. I've been working with Beam for years. Let me introduce you to another one of their great products, Beam's Dream Capsules. Dream Capsules contain the same great ingredients that come together to help bring you your best night's sleep guaranteed. Beam is proudly founded in America and run by people who share our values, hard work, integrity, and delivering results. It's a science-backed nighttime blend packed with ingredients shown to improve sleep so you can wake up refreshed and ready to take on the day. Dream has a powerful all-natural blend of reishi, magnesium, L-theanine, apigenin, and melatonin. It's helped improve over 17.5 million nights of sleep, helping people across the country wake up and feel their best. Here's the deal. Beam is giving show listeners the ultimate Patriot discount of 47% off. Try their best-selling Dream Capsules. Get up to 47% off for a limited time. Go to shopbeam.com/Bongino. Use code Bongino at checkout. That's shopbeam.com/Bongino. Use code Bongino for up to 47% off. Support an American company. Invest in yourself and get a good night's sleep. Thank you, Beam. We appreciate it. Just a couple more posts. Chris Murphy, Democrat senator, says Trump is now spitting in the face of Senate Republicans because he knows he owns them. Bongino's career is conning people that the Dems are a safety threat and selling them junk to prep for war. Do we have any war advertisements in the show today? Justin says we do. Next. Battlefieldwar.com. I don't know what he's talking about. Yeah, I'm not really, right? I'm not really sure. Owning the libs is a lifestyle, he says. We got a lot of traction out of that. A lot of people still report it. The new FBI deputy director, everyone. Thank you, Senator. Appreciate that. And Adam Schiff, with a storied history of telling the truth, of course, selecting another right-wing Fox person. Is he aware I don't have the show on Fox anymore? I'm just curious. Senator, I'm not there anymore. An internet troll. You guys get this? Internet troll. Dan Bongino as deputy FBI director means two things. So Adam Schiff's laying it out. Trump installs another loyalist. Oh, I am loyal to the Constitution of the United States, and that's why President Trump picked me. So loyalist? Yeah, to the Constitution. I think he misses that. Who won't say no to any immoral or unethical act. Any immoral. Right, exactly. See, now you're thinking. I don't know how he knows that. I'm unsure. And our law enforcement agencies are further degraded. So there you go. There's some of the latest commentary on this selection. But moving on, Benny Johnson had an interesting guest on his show. He's been having a lot of success with it. Benny had an FBI whistleblower on, and they were talking about this specific thing. And I took a look at it yesterday on X, and interesting commentary to say the least. But check this out.
Is that there are FBI servers that are sort of standalone, and people inside the FBI have been working night and day to destroy files on these servers. And I was told that once these files are destroyed, the way they are set up, that even Elon Musk could not restore them.
So you see why President Trump and Attorney General Bondi, again, these are allegations like anything else, but Attorney General Bondi and FBI Director Patel, along with people throughout government in President Donald Trump selected appointed positions, are very concerned with people losing trust and faith in institutions. Folks, these allegations are everywhere. It's where the USAID story came from as well. Just the news before it was shuttered, USAID routed funds to Soros-aligned causes, terrorists, and drag queens. Folks, again, the liberal narrative lately has been billionaires are really terrible, awful people. We hate Elon Musk. It's kind of fascinating that when it comes to allegations about other billionaires, as long as the politics align, they seem to be just A-OK with all of this stuff. Here's Brianna Morello, who I recommend a follow on X, that does some really fascinating reporting. She has an exclusive there that the TSA under Joe Biden focused on speeding up checkpoints for illegal aliens without IDs, not national security. Wait, keep this up a second, because the guys and I, of all the stories today, this is the one I think elicited the most interest with these guys. Imagine this. You're going, you got to take your shoes off, throw your perfume out. I had a small jar of peanut butter one time because I like natural peanut butter to eat when I'm hungry. I had to throw that out. You have to chuck all that stuff out. Yet Brianna notes in the tweet that during the Biden administration, expediting TSA security checkpoints took precedence over national security concerns. They were used, the acceptable ID documents apparently for you are not the same for people who had violated our immigration laws. There is a two-tiered system in this country, but you're not on the side of it that's winning. Elon, of course, has become the subject of just projection again. So yesterday was kind of my turn in the media meat grinder, where they all had to take their shots with their election denier, conspiracy theory, ridiculous bullet points, right? But Elon, who was a hero to the left for a long time, when Elon and his companies practically reinvented the car market, space travel, all of a sudden, Elon is public enemy number one, folks. This Elon sent out with the DOGE and this Department of Government Efficiency, it wasn't from Elon directly. The Department of Government Efficiency, so we're clear, are government employees, folks. The President of the United States has the power to appoint people. He is the unitary executive. The powers in Article 2 are vested. I can't say this enough. You have a Constitution at home. Take a look at it now. In a president. Read what the Constitution says. A president. Not many presidents. Not a president in the bureaucracy. All of the executive powers are vested in, quote, a president. If the president, as the commander-in-chief, and head of the executive office of the president, because he's the president, chooses a group of government employees, the DOGE people, and they then implement his agenda, and they ask a simple question via email. Some departments have involved in national security and others, some have but the freak out over this thing was completely not commensurate. All he asked was, what'd you do? Became kind of the subject of some really funny stuff. Jesse Waters had a good bit on this last night. It was kind of funny. Jesse listed out the 5 things he did, promote Dana's book. It was pretty hilarious. But here is a CNN bit here. And woman seems quite upset about this email. Check this out.
First, just tell us about this email and what it was like receiving it and what you all have talked about after getting it.
Sure. I got this email Saturday afternoon, about 3 p.m., and I felt absolutely infuriated getting this email with a demand within 48 hours to provide a response on what I did within the last week or face termination. This is clearly an attempt from Elon Musk to harass and bully and intimidate the federal workforce, which is part of his broader plan to gut the federal workforce and privatize public sector services to ensure that corporations like his own can get more profit. And that makes me really angry, and my coworkers as well.
So I'm still getting emails from media folks. This is from Aidan McLaughlin at Mediaite, who I've known for a while. We haven't had the best relationship. He's asking me, am I going to continue hosting my radio show while serving? No, absolutely not. There are very strict government ethics rules prohibiting me being employed by someone else. It's cost us a lot of time and effort over the weekend to get this done. The only reason I'm still hosting the show now is I owe it to my audience. I'm just going to walk away from them. I got to wind it down. And secondly, we have contracts. And if I respect our program directors and our audience enough and people who pay for the show to keep it free to not just walk away from them. Believe me, folks, I'm really excited about this opportunity. Super excited about this opportunity. I'd love to take it tomorrow. But that's the easy thing, not the right thing to do. I'm sorry to keep bringing this up, but it's incredible how some people in the media don't even understand basic government ethics rules. I don't understand what they would like me to do. Swear in tomorrow with a bunch of ethical conflicts that would cause headaches. You'd be writing stories about that. This kind of feeds into this segment, and I didn't even intend it that way. It seems like, with media people, there's two different sets of rules sometimes. When Bill Clinton, Al Gore, and Barack Obama spoke, Democrats, of course, all of them, two presidents and one candidate, spoke at length about government efficiency, task forces to clean up government efficiency. They were lauded by the media. Look, the Democrat Party, big government's good, but we got to make it leaner and meaner. Donald Trump, Elon Musk, and the Doge are doing nothing different. And the hysterical commentary over this. Put out the tweet about people being fired. You guys had no problem on the left whatsoever when people in the military, people in the FBI, people in law enforcement, people all throughout government at the state, federal, and local level were fired for not taking the COVID vaccine. 10,000, tens of thousands of hardworking Americans. And in the private sector, too, got laid off. The media for the vaccine or let go. Media was crickets on it. Here's Elon's, another tweet by Elon Musk. Here's what the email looked like. For those of you, and again, it's not Elon, it's the Doge. But please reply to this email with approximately 5 bullet points of what you accomplished and CC your manager. He knows, the bold letters. Please do not send any classified information, links, or attachments. Guys, folks in the chat, I'm just kind of curious. Don't you have performance evaluations and simple things like this in your job? Are folks out there who are harshly criticizing Donald Trump for trying to make government more efficient? Are you seriously suggesting that there shouldn't be performance evaluations or even a basic question about, here, Bubba 48, yes. Mountain Man 1, yes. Red State deplorable, yeah. Of course you have. We may melt the chat again. Every year. Yeah, all he would ask for was 5 things. Here was the great transportation secretary who we love, Evita's father, Secretary Sean Duffy. Mr. President, here's the 5 things I did. And he lists them out. Pretty substantive things. Even Secretary Duffy's in on it. Oh, man. It's here was President Trump, by the way. For those in the media trying to pressure President Trump to not make government more efficient and run at least like some semblance of a business with cost controls and thinking they were going to get him to back off. I noticed a narrative in the media this morning suggesting we've got Elon in a corner now. I don't know what corner you think you have anybody in, but the country's demand and taste for government efficiency is there. You're missing this. Here was Donald Trump yesterday with Emmanuel Macron in the Oval, backing up Elon on this effort. Check this out.
There was that email telling employees to give 5 things that they've done last week. Agency heads then told people to ignore it.
You're talking about the last email that was sent where he wanted to know what you did this week. You know why he wanted that, by the way? I thought it was great. Because we have people that don't show up to work and nobody even knows if they work for the government. So by asking the question, tell us what you did this week, what he's doing is saying, are you actually working? And then if you don't answer, like you're sort of semi-fired or you're fired, because a lot of people are not answering because they don't even exist. They're trying to find, that's how badly various parts of our government were run by, and especially by this last group.
Here's Winnie525 in the chat. We do this all the time. And folks, none of this is on Getty 27 Quarterly. I mean, you realize, you understand, even liberals understand this happens all the time, correct? You know, one of the things I keep telling you about Trump, too, President Trump, is very few people, the man's political skills and his ability to walk in a room are like nothing I've ever seen before. Now, I'm going to draw a comparison. I don't want you to kind of revolt in horror. But I've seen something similar, but not as good as President Trump. His ability to, the guy has an immense amount of charisma. He just does. When I first got on the job as a young agent, Bill Clinton was in office. Obviously, I disagree with a lot of his politics. I think that's fairly obvious, given I'm a political opinion show, which has shocked the media, just discovering that, by the way. But Bill Clinton had a way to do that, too. I remember being in a Holden room, and there were guys who were Republicans, and I don't know what they were, businessmen or politicians or whatever. And they were like, we're going to talk to him when he comes in here, and they were, wagging their fingers. And the minute he walked in, hey, buddy, they were like, well, you know what? This Bill Clinton, I may not agree with him, but I get it. Like, these guys used to sweat charisma, Donald Trump has that, to a degree, algorithmically higher than Bill Clinton did. So there's this whole big schism right now with NATO, the European Union, Russia, Ukraine. Donald Trump laying down the law saying, hey, EU, you guys at the European Union, you guys are right there. You better take on a bigger role in NATO, because we're risking a lot more here, money-wise and assets-wise, but you guys are right there. It's right in your backyard. So you would think it would be this big confrontational meeting. Here's Donald Trump, again, just disarms everyone in the room. He's got a gift for this stuff with Emmanuel Macron. Did you see this? Check this out.
That is the most beautiful language. I have no idea what he's saying, but that is the most elegant, beautiful language. Go ahead, please.
This is a question that was...
Come on, man. He just has a knack for this. You see it everywhere. He is just really, really good at this. Justin's like, watch their hands. Watch how natural this is. That's what he does. He has a magical ability to disarm people. And I just want to note, there's a fascinating op-ed in the Wall Street Journal today. Who is it by? Forgive me. But it's about how Trump's policy towards Russia is really not that different than presidents even it's not that different from Republican or even some Democrat positions in the past. They're making it out like Donald Trump is some, a Putin appeaser. And when you read the piece, the Journal, who are not huge fans of Donald Trump, many of their op-ed writers, acknowledge that it's really not that much different. He's stating a simple fact to NATO countries and countries in the region. Hey, man, we'll help you out, but you got to help yourselves too. There's nothing that dramatic about that. The wins keep continuing, though. This administration has been chalking them up at such a rate. I told you, doing this show with the guys here, it's hard to kind of triage what to talk about. We'll keep covering the reaction to all this other stuff, and we have a ton of stuff for you coming over the next couple of weeks. It's, the fact that the last show is going to be March 14th is really like it's real to me now, and it kind of stings a little bit. I mean, I'm really going to miss you guys. But I just want to show you, you know, you know, you can tell I'm a little, whenever I start thinking about it, it gets me down a different path. So let me save it because I got a couple weeks to enjoy with you guys. But the wins keep continuing. Regardless of your feelings about big tech companies, folks, they have clearly sensed that there's a new sheriff in town in the White House, and that new sheriff in town is President Donald Trump. They sense the economic growth opportunities with President Trump. Here's a quick segment video here about Apple investing a whole lot of money right here in America, where if you're going to invest it, you might as well invest it here because the jobs come with it. You got real estate, you got local improvements. Check this out.
$1 trillion. That's the largest ever U.S. spending plan for the world's biggest company, and it comes with thousands of new jobs across multiple states. Now, as you mentioned, we knew this was coming as President Trump teased it on Friday, and then Apple CEO Tim Cook was at the White House on Thursday. Apple is spending 50% more this year in 2025 than it did during the first Trump term. So $500 billion over 4 years this time.
Folks, the W's keep continuing. This is all good news. We don't have to agree with what these companies do or anything like that. But if you're going to invest money, invest it in America here. Let me just dial back to the beginning of the show. You know, again, to all my critics and others out there, that's your job, is to criticize us. We totally understand. But Donald Trump has appointed people in an amazing people, by the way, fantastic people, very talented people in his cabinet, sub-cabinet level, and as the heads of agencies, whether it's Kash Patel, Attorney General Bondi, whether it's now Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth. And there are people who understand that there are questions and there are assertions. You don't want to fall for that, okay? When someone in the media is making an assertion rather than a question, you want to call it out. I want you to watch Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth, who catches this little stunt right away. Check this out.
Why did you select an underqualified retired lieutenant general to be the next chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff?
I'm gonna choose to reject your unqualified question. Who's next?
And that's how it's done. Not if he wasn't falling for that stunt at all. Pete's been around the block. You have to understand, Secretary Hegseth has been in the media a long time. He understands this. He's been on the media debating people. He's got a wealth of experience. And this is the attack, whether it's me or whether it's Pete Hegseth, unqualified, all this other stuff. Unqualified, well, they don't mention your actual qualifications. Decorated member of our military, a good, solid, decent human being who has his eyes on one prize, making the United States military the premier, most lethal fighting force anywhere in the world. I was home last night, and I'm sitting there. I was watching a show. I don't even know what I was watching. Food That Built America or something like that. And I was falling asleep because it had been a really long day. Now you know why. And some of you kind of understand why the show had a different tone over the last couple of weeks. And I got a call from the president, and he couldn't have been nicer. And I obviously keep the contents of it between us, but I think you get the gist about what it was about. And kind of broke down a bit because it was, this is now real. So President, Attorney General Bondi, and now Director, gosh, that sounds good to say, FBI Director Kash Patel offered this role, a role I expressed an interest in. And ladies and gentlemen, I told you, you see, it's hard for me. I'm going to accept the role proudly as the Deputy Director, the number 2 spot at the Federal Bureau of Investigation. Folks, it's a lot to walk away from. I will tell you everything what happened within reason, and then I got a show to do, and I'm going to tell you what's going to happen with the show. So it's going to be a pretty wild ride today. Man, do we have a lot to talk about. I'm going to play for you in the beginning, too, a speech I gave that someone sent to me from 11 years ago. And you'll see why I decided to make this decision. So a lot to do today. Thank you so much for kind of a big audience here right away out of the chute. So thank you very much. I love you guys. And Bongino Army out there, I hope you understand. I got a couple of negative comments. You know, Dan, you should have let us know. I hope you understand about this. This is not you do not ever get ahead of the President of the United States, the Attorney General, and the Director of the FBI. You don't do that. Not when you take positions like that. It's not the right thing to do. So now you understand. Today's show sponsored by Beam. Man, did I sleep much last night? Go to shopbeam.com/Bongino. Use code Bongino for 47% off your order. Today's show also brought to you by Patriot Mobile. We won the election. The fight to restore this great nation is only beginning. Now's the time to take a stand, and Patriot Mobile's leading the charge. They're America's only Christian conservative wireless provider. Patriot Mobile offers a way to vote with your wallet without compromising on quality or convenience. Patriot Mobile isn't just about providing exceptional cell phone service. It's a call to action to defend our rights and freedoms. With Patriot Mobile, you'll get outstanding nationwide coverage because they operate on all 3 major networks. If you have cell phone service today, you can get cell phone service with Patriot Mobile with a coverage guarantee. But the difference is, every dollar you spend with Patriot Mobile supports a company that believes in the First and Second Amendments, the sanctity of life, our veterans, and first responders. Switching's easy. Keep your number, keep your phone, or upgrade. Their 100% U.S.-based customer support team will help you find the perfect plan. So right now, go to patriotmobile.com/Dan or call 972-PATRIOT and get a free month of service with promo code Dan. Switch to Patriot Mobile today and defend freedom with every call and text you make. Visit patriotmobile.com/Dan or call 972-PATRIOT. All right, fellas. Little bell for me. I want to play this for you first because the Bongino Army out there and all of our supporters, you guys and ladies out there have been amazing. And one of you sent this to me, and a friend of mine sent it to me as well. And I gave this speech at the Heritage Foundation 11 years ago. And it was about good people stepping up. Not just me. It's not about me. It's about a bigger vision. I want you to listen. It's about a minute and a half of it, but it's worth your time. Check this out.
We can fix it, though, folks, and I think it's going to take some good, passionate people going forward. And I think it's going to take more people to speak out. I think right now there's a crisis of internal leadership. I think people during a recession are afraid to leave, but I speak to people all the time on my cell phone, on the inside, who are just as frustrated as I am, whether from the military or anywhere else. And I think it's going to take just a tidal wave of people speaking out to really create some effective change.
This is really hard for me, folks. I hope you understand. We spent a long time building this. Me, my wife, Guy, Michael, Justin, Jasmine, Evita. My wife and I started doing this show, and it started in a basement. It was me, Joe, and Paula. That was it. We started doing the show, and Paula was putting together show clips for me. We never expected it to become this massive live stream and podcast and radio show. We never expected it. I knew you guys were going to be there for us. So to walk away from it, yeah, it's not easy. And forget like money and all that other crap. That gives a damn about any of that stuff. We'll figure that out later. But, I'm not going to tell you as an audience what's been one of our just bedrock principles of this Bongino Army out there and this people, the massive audience we've had. What's one of the bedrock principles, right? The do matters. We've talked about the do. You can talk all you want. I tell you all the time, I don't feel like I have a real job. I don't feel like, I feel like you guys are the ones out there getting your hands dirty. The truckers, the cops, the pilots, the architects, the men and women in our military. I appreciate everything, but if the do matters, I'm not going to sit here as a commentator, talking head, whatever dopey title we have. I'm not going to sit here and tell you the do matters and then sit on my ass when an opportunity comes to do the right thing and not only talk about everything we wanted to change, but actually change it. There are a lot of people listening today. And I hope you understand that. I want to address something too. I know, New York Times and others, of course, are all of the attack pieces start already, which is fascinating from these two who were on the wrong side of the truth when it came to the collusion hoax and others. I don't think they understand what it's like to commit to service, not partisan service, but service. I get it if you are a political opponent of mine that has been involved with proudly celebrating a weaponized justice system, how you don't understand how a guy like me who discusses partisan content in an opinion show can go and do a unquestionably nonpartisan job. I'm going to ask you a simple question. Have you seen what I did before I came here? I'm committed to service. People play different roles in their lives. People are dads. People are soccer coaches. People are cops and military officers and military enlisted people. People are carpenters. People are plumbers. We play different roles in our life, and each one requires a different skill set. I've been there. I know what this is like. And it's time for me to step up. Folks, I have to thank my family first, though. Most of you know Paula. Paula's been with me a long time. Folks, we met, I don't know if you know the story. It's certainly not my autobiography today, but we met just a couple of weeks before 9/11. I mean, an actual couple of weeks, like 2 weeks before 9/11. My second date hadn't even happened with Paula, and she worked at 120 Broadway, which is the building that looks right into the World Trade Center right there. She worked for a company at the time called SIA. The 9/11 attacks happened. I had only been on one date with her. We barely knew each other, but I knew I was in love. So I called her, and she didn't answer the phone. I thought she was dead. I did. I panicked. I thought she was dead. I couldn't believe it. I said, I just met this woman. Well, it turned out we'd just been on one date. And she was actually in Nevada. Her mom lived in Centennial Hills in Nevada. Actually, Summerlin, I think, back then. And she was out in Nevada. I couldn't believe she was alive. But we met 2 weeks before the most devastating terror attack, one of them in American history. That was an event we all scarred us forever. I was an agent watching that. We've been through a lot together. We've been through the Secret Service. We've been through the President's detail. We've been through cancer. We've been through some health crises with her. We have two beautiful daughters, one in college and one younger one still in grammar school. We've been through 3 runs for political office. We've been through the launch of a podcast 11 years ago, and everybody laughed at us. They're not laughing now. They did. They actually laughed at us. Oh, podcast? That's cute. What happened? Can't get a real show? We lived through all of that. We spent our last $10,000 on a microphone and some mixers in the basement of our house in Maryland. Paula's always been willing to take a chance on me. Always. She said on her first date that she knew I was something special, which I didn't think I was anything special back then, but I guess she did. She's been busting her ass all weekend. Why? Because there's going to be a major transition. It's not going to be the last show, but we've only got a few more left with you. So obviously we're going to be working with a team of people to make this transition from me, political commentator Dan, to Deputy Director of the FBI Dan. Those are different roles, require different skills. Skills I have and have used before and I plan to use again. It's going to hurt to leave you. I'll discuss over the course of the coming days. I'll be with you for a little bit longer on radio and on my show. I will discuss exactly what's going to happen. It's not going to impact Vita or Haley's content at all. My wife has been running the business for a long time. I don't get involved with the business at all. I do the talking. But I want to ask you, who's next? Who's next? This isn't just about me, folks. The do matters. Who's next? You know, I said last week, and a couple of media critics commented, I said, we're all going to have to take it on the chin a little bit. Now, do you see what I meant? I never got in this for the money or notoriety. Listen, I enjoy making money and that I can impact people's lives and that people come out and say nice things to me as much as the next guy. But if you think that's why I got involved in this, running as a Republican in deep blue Maryland, my life of activism and my time in the Secret Service, if you think I get into the Secret Service to get rich, and you don't know me and you haven't seen the government salary scale. But I am going in this clear-eyed. Vision of President Trump, Attorney General Bondi, and Director Patel. I am going to do my job to implement that vision. And I can tell you right now, we are going to try our best. Every single thing I have in me, every single strand of DNA cell in my body is going to be dedicated towards keeping this homeland safe, no matter what. No matter what. That's my job. We're going to reestablish faith in this institution. The good people there doing their job, hitting the streets, developing sources. We'll have your back. We are going to reestablish faith in this institution. The FBI belongs to the American people. Doesn't belong to me. Doesn't belong to anyone else but the American people. But this is the honor of a lifetime, and it's a serious mission. And I plan on implementing that vision. Folks, there are a small number of people out there in the country right now dedicated to doing really bad things. It's not the overwhelming majority of Americans are patriots that love this country and love their family. They love their jobs. They go to work every day. But there are a small number of really bad people out there who are planning on really bad things, from terrorists to narco traffickers, child sex rings, gang members. I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not going to rest easy until we find as many of you as we can. Don't sleep. Know after today that that's my mission. Folks, of course, the Constitution matters. We're going to get back to the four corners of that document that guide us all as well. And I think you know from my history of covering content here that the primacy of that is really important. You understand that. It is the one thing that dictates all the rest of your actions, and that's the Constitution. Again, regarding the show, folks, going forward, I will tell you how we're going to wind my portion of the show down. And I'm just going to leave you with this before I get to some other content. And we've got a couple more. We've got some shows for you lined up. So I actually put a show together, even though this has been harder than I thought. I didn't plan on this. I didn't plan on a lot of things. But I want you to know it is the honor of my lifetime. And I hope I'm making a plea to you all personally. I hope you're not angry or upset at me for making this decision. I knew it was the right thing to do, but there is a big cost, and I understand that. There is a chance when the mission's over that you guys all disappear and go somewhere else. I'm not going to lie to you, it's been on my mind for a long time. I hope not. I love you guys, but this is a mission I can't say no to. Sorry, guys. JL Subs. Holy moly, Batman. We're so proud of you, Dan. We love you, Dan. I love you guys, too. I woke up this morning, I jumped in that cold plunge to kind of clear my head a little bit. And I got out of it. And I have to tell you, folks, this is very surreal. What an honor. What an honor. All right. Let me take a quick break. Did I melt down the Rumble chat? Thank you, guys. Michael senses I need a little emotional kind of. Hold on. Let me take a sip of water here. You know, it's funny. Guy's been here the longest, and Guy will typically say, all right, you're like droning on too long. He didn't say that. That's interesting. Guy actually gave me a little leeway on that one. I appreciate that, Guy. You know how Guy is. Guy's the most cut and dried guy you've ever seen. All right, move on. No. Have you taken a Field of Greens? Yeah, that's what they'll promote me and push me right into a reading. You get to the spots. We got a show to do. So I appreciate that, Guy. Thank you. There. By the way, my team. So you know, because I know a lot of you have developed relationships with my crew through the chat and events and elsewhere. We love all you guys. My crew's not going anywhere. I'll explain more as the week goes on. Today, I just want to focus on this, some news, and I want to do a show for you because I don't have a lot left. The transition is going to be tough, but my crew's not going anywhere. I gave them the opportunity. I hope I'm not sharing inside information, guys, but I gave them the opportunity, and none of them took it. Justin was like a little, I don't know about him. Justin, no, I'm kidding. Justin was like, I don't know, I'm not so sure. No, he was all in. Justin was actually the first one. He's like, you kidding, bro? We're going to make this, we're going to work with Paula from now on. And it's probably a pretty easy transition because there isn't a transition. Paula's always run the place anyway. She has been the mastermind. I'm just the content guy. So thank you, guys. All right, let me take a quick break, and then we'll get to the show. So I told you to be there opening thing. Hey, schedule's gotten crazy lately, especially over the past 2 weeks. I am a big fan of life hacks. You know I love to stay healthy. I've shown you my blood work over and over. Field of Greens, a delicious glass of Field of Greens daily is nutritional armor for your body. Each fruit and vegetable was doctor selected for a specific health benefit. There's a heart health group, lung and kidney groups, metabolism, even healthy weight. I love the energy I get with it, but most of all, I love the confidence I have if I get a cheat day or something, you fall off your diet, can enjoy it guilt-free because Field of Greens, it's the nutrition my body needs daily. Only Field of Greens makes you the better health promise. Your doctor will take notice of your improved health or your money back. So let's get you started with a special discount. 20% off your first order. Just use code Dan at brickhousenutrition.com/Dan. That's code Dan at brickhousenutrition.com/Dan. Thank you, Brickhouse Nutrition and Field of Greens. Appreciate that. So, folks, the Monday winning coverage of the administration and their endless litany and cornucopia of W's and wins is just not stopping, to the point where I did not know. I'm obviously waiting on the president, the attorney general, and the FBI director. It's their call when to make the decision. So, the specific timeline, you have an idea, but I did not know. So I'm still putting together a show this weekend, and the winning, I hope, most of you out there, I would guess, if you're listening to the show, you probably think this is a win. I appreciate it. It certainly was a win for me, and the fact that this is something I'm really looking forward to. But that we're not the only ones, folks. Mark Penn, who's a Democrat pollster, and I don't care what you're hearing about the public polling. The public polling, people can cherry pick polls all they want. For every poll you tell me, well, voters are dissatisfied with this, and I've seen this all the time, you can pick another poll that voters are mostly liking what they're seeing. How do we know that? Because Mark Penn in a tweet put out those literal words. Voters are mostly, he's a Democrat pollster, are liking what they see in the first month of the new presidency. 57-43. Voters say Trump's doing a better job than Biden in an advanced look at a poll coming out on Monday. Job approvals at 52, but closing the border, cutting waste are hugely popular. So is resetting merit as the prime hiring and contracting principle. They don't agree with everything being done. He cites the Gulf of America, which I haven't heard anybody really complaining about. But, people feel much better about the direction of the country and the economy. It's Democrats are cratering down to 36% approval. It's going to be a big problem from them, obviously, moving forward. I wanted to address this, too. This is one of the reasons you have public frustration with taxpayer dollars being allocated to outfits with very little accountability when people are working in jobs and have been working in jobs where the bookkeeper, the accountant, or whoever it is, if you spend $1 at a gas station on a company card and you can't explain what it's for, they've had to account for every single dollar the entire time. Here, folks, let's look at this USAID article. USAID squandered, but think about this. Think about the loss factor in this. New York Times, how USAID squandered billions in Haiti and around the globe. There were $2 billion in contracts and grants for Haiti-related work. Less than $50 million. That's 2%. Let me say that again. 2% of the $2 billion that was supposed to go to Haiti went to Haitian organizations or firms. Even went to the firms. By comparison, $1.3 billion, 56%, has gone to firms located in or near the U.S. Capitol. Little wonder USAID is so threatened by the sudden scrutiny. Folks, there is a problem with third-party spending. If I've highlighted it once, I've highlighted it 1,000 times on this show. Milton Friedman has discussed this often. When the government takes taxpayer dollars from its citizens and spends money not even on itself, but on other people most of the time, on programs and giveaways and USAID, the cost or the quality don't matter. The cost doesn't matter because you're not buying anything with your money. So why would you care about the cost? But here's the kicker. The quality doesn't matter either because a large portion of the time you're not even buying anything for yourself. And when I say yourself, I mean, say waste in the Pentagon. No, they're buying things for themselves. No, they're not. It's not for them. It's for a military unit or something. It's not even for them. So not only you have a cost problem, but you have a quality problem as well. If you've not seen this Milton Friedman clip, we've been doing this show 11 years. I can't even mention that. I'm gonna melt every time I say. I cannot believe we've been doing this 11 years. I cannot believe we've been doing this 11 years. If you've been watching all 11 years, you've seen this clip before by Friedman. It's worth your time. Check this out.
Well, you can spend your own money on yourself. And when you spend your own money on yourself, you're very careful of what you spend it on, and you make sure that you get the most for your dollar. You can spend your own money on somebody else. You give gifts to other people. You take people out to dinner. And when you spend your own money on somebody else, you're very careful that you don't spend too much. You try to keep down the amount you spend, but you don't worry very much about what the other fellow's getting from it. You don't pay anything like as much attention to the gifts you buy for other people as to the things you buy for yourself. Or you can spend somebody else's money, as when you're spending the government's money. I say the government's money, the taxpayers' money, which the government has control over. Now you're spending somebody else's money. Let's say you're spending your boss's money. You're out to lunch on an expense account, but you're spending it on yourself. You're very careful that you get good things for your money. You try to have a good lunch and pick the right things, but you're not very much worried about whether you get the cheapest. Spend all you want. And you'll be careless. Now, what happens when you spend somebody else's money on somebody else? You're a distributor of welfare funds. Well, you're interested in making your own life as good as you can. And most people have humane instincts and want to do the best they can, but you're not going to be anything like as careful in spending somebody else's money on somebody else. So there are 4 ways in which you can spend money.
Folks, that's one of the most important clips you will ever see about why there is a specific level of unaccountability that exists not solely in government, but you have a persistent problem in government because it's other people's money spent on other people. That's a hard thing to get over. You have to, that's why when you're in government, you have to hire the best of the best of the best of the best because you have to get over that natural impulse because it's not your money and you're not even spending it on anyone else. That's where you get clips like this. I was watching this clip this weekend going through some show preparation material, and I saw the CNN clip pop up. And they're talking about spending as if it's their money. Like, hey, listen, there's a Sesame Street program in Iraq. And don't laugh, by the way. That's actually what this video is about. But there's this really valuable Sesame Street program in Iraq that, you know, terrorists may watch instead of terrorist material. So, okay, well, what about that money back in the United States that had to come from people who had to pay it, who could have kept that in their business? Watch this clip from CNN. You'll see what I mean. And then I'm going to play for you I'm going to show you a clip from the Wall Street Journal about this just amazing first month of Donald Trump and how this has hit. The winning has just caught everybody by surprise. Check this out.
Okay. I'm going to get to the economics. Come on. I gave you a chance for a great sound bite. You got, and those soft power exercises make for great sound bites. But when you drill down, for example, on Sesame Street in Iraq, they often make sense. Joseph Nye from Harvard, who gets credited with the coinage of the word soft power, you know, you'd rather spend on that than bullets. But wait, you want to talk about
there was a terrorist attack in Iraq last month that killed 40 people. It's clearly not working. Soft power and Sesame Street are not working. If there are terrorists, we need to kill the terrorists. We don't need to fund Big Bird and Elmo.
You know, you probably feel like I do, that it's really hard to believe that a country that as great as America, that's $30+ trillion in debt. You have any comprehension of how big of a number that is in comparison to what we're talking about? The value grossly of every single thing we produce and then some. And we're discussing Sesame Street programs in Iraq. Folks, there's an opportunity cost to every dollar spent on things that don't focus on specific core functions of the United States government. That this is a serious argument on cable television is tough to take. I've got a piece coming up for you next where it's starting to hit, even with some people who are not big fans of the Trump agenda on the political front early, who are starting to realize that there's a couple key components from this, what's happening right now. The first month. It hasn't even been, first 100 days, but it's a month of the first 100 days. That number one, the gold standard for action has now been set by President Trump. Folks, any other president, Republican or candidly Democrat too, is going to be expected to make big, bold change. Republicans in the past have kind of eased into it. You get the first 100 days, you get a couple EOs here and there, but there's been nothing like this. And second, the do matters. Well, I'd say second, the do matters because President Trump has done it, and he's even invited some court challenges that could, I don't want to say redefine the presidency, because the courts and others have redefined the presidency. The presidency was laid out in Article 2 of the Constitution. And we've gotten away from that. If the president can't fire people, then who can? Quick break, and I'll show you what I mean. An interesting piece by Kim Strassel. I've enjoyed her commentary, but let's be honest, a lot of these people aren't huge MAGA people, which is fine. Like I said, I read their content, and I like to see what everybody's thinking. Folks, they want you to believe inflation is just an accident, but is it? Every time inflation spikes, your savings could shrink, your paycheck buys less, and just about everything from groceries to gas gets more expensive. But is this just a coincidence, or is it the Federal Reserve policy at work? You need to check out Playing with Fire, Money, Banking, and the Federal Reserve, a powerful new documentary from the Mises Institute. It examines how the Fed can manipulate money, fuel economic crashes, and enrich the elites at the expense of everyday Americans. For decades, the Mises Institute's been calling out the dangers of reckless government spending and the Fed's destructive policies, warning about the 2008 crash and skyrocketing inflation long before the mainstream media admitted there was a problem. It's a must-watch film the establishment doesn't want you to see. And right now, when you visit Mises.org/Bongino by May 31st, 2025, you can also claim a free copy of What Has Government Done to Our Money, a classic book exposing how government mismanagement of money could be robbing you of your financial freedom. So don't wait. Go to Mises.org/Bongino now. Watch the film and claim your free book while supplies last. That's MISES, Mises.org/Bongino. And last sponsor today. During tax season, your sensitive info does a lot of traveling to places you can't control. Stopping off at payroll, your accountant or taxpayer, and countless other data centers on its way to the IRS. Any of them can expose you to identity theft because they all have the info on your W-2. Just a ticket for criminals to steal your identity. No wonder the IRS reported that tax fraud due to identity theft went up 20% last year. You need LifeLock. It monitors millions of data points per second and alert you to threats you could miss. If your identity is stolen, LifeLock's U.S.-based restoration specialist will fix it, backed by the $1 million protection package. And restoration is guaranteed or your money back. So don't let identity thieves take you for a ride. Get LifeLock protection for tax season and beyond. So join now and save up to 40% off your first year. Call 1-800-LifeLock, use promo code Bongino, or go to lifelock.com/Bongino for 40% off. Terms apply. Back to the show. This is what I was talking about from Kim Strassel. What stood out in Trump's first month? And it's a series of comments from their opinion staff on this. And again, these aren't big MAGA people at all over there. They've actually been very critical of a lot of the Trump agenda. And, that's fine. Do your thing. You're certainly in a constitutional republic where you have freedom of the press and freedom of speech. You can have whatever opinion you want. I bring this up because for them to acknowledge the success of this first month, this is a bold new world of Republican presidencies where a standard's been set. Kim Strassel notes the president's public events tend towards the rambling. He's discursive, but that's how he is. But the press is mistaken to present his team as simply unruly. She says, consider this. A month in, the administration has a nearly full complement of confirmed cabinet heads. The border's under control. Criminals are being deported. The White House has issued nearly 80 executive orders targeting energy restrictions and bureaucracy, DEI, transgenderism, and censorship. It's dismantling Biden-era regulations and shutting down entire programs. The president's met with many foreign leaders and withdrawn from global entities. Congress is progressing on the president's tax reform. As I said before, there are two takeaways from this. You need to tattoo on your brain that are going to set the standard for Republican presidents going forward. Democrats may expect the same from a future Democratic president, but now I'm talking about the Republican side. The Republican side, they've generally kind of eased into the presidency a bit. There's always the 100-day agenda, but let's be candid. Even Kim Strassel's noting there's never been anything like that. So it now sets a standard in the future that if you campaign on something, but come on, most people don't take a lot of campaign promises from politicians seriously. It's sad, but it's true. You are now going to be expected in the first few months and first 2 years of your presidency until the midterms to get this stuff done and get it done quickly because Donald Trump has set a different standard for action. But second, which I brought up before the break, another important point. They're inviting a lot of court challenges, which is important because the presidency has been redefined away from the Article 2 role of the founders, that they laid it out in the four corners of the document. It's not hard. We have an executive. We have an executive whose role is laid out by the Constitution, who's had pounds of flesh taken away from them. Their power's been neutered. Independent agencies, bureaucrats acting as if they're the executive. I ask you this very simple question. And I ask the courts too, if the chief executive of the United States and our commander-in-chief of the military cannot remove personnel under him for reasons he lays out and we've done now, you've seen with the DOJ, then who can? Are you telling me that the government bureaucracy is immune from accountability elsewhere? Let me ask you this. I get it. Congress, you have Article 1, obviously Article 2, Article 3, you have the courts. Congressional staffers, for those who dispute this on the Democrat side, and you dispute it from the legislative branch, and you're saying as a congressman, the president can't do this. Can you fire staffers in your office? Well, of course I can. Well, if you can fire staffers in your office, then how is it that the Article 2 presidency, where everyone is a subordinate to the one nationally elected figure, the president of the United States, if he can't fire him, then who can? You're a separate branch of government. You don't work in the executive branch. None of it was meant to work this way. And, I had Ned Ryan on last week on my radio show. And Ned brought up an interesting point regarding TROs, temporary restraining orders that are, national injunctions. Are you telling me that one judge on the Supreme Court, the most powerful judges in the country, can't do what a local district court can and by himself stopping legal action? Folks, the government was never meant to work this way. There has to be accountability. Working American people live with this kind of accountability every day. It's a gold standard for action, folks. It's been absolutely set. Let me get back to the beginning of the show. Thank you all in the chat. I'm sorry, I'm just reading through. I know Rumble, we kind of melted it a little bit. Thank you for everything. I want you to know I'm reading it. It was glory bound. We're so proud and excited for you, Dan. Jersey Girl 51, we'll miss you, but feel safer with you in the FBI. Lazarus, I'm proud of you, man. You're going to, Helen, you're going to exactly where you needed to be. Folks, we got to step up, man. We all have to step up. I had a good friend when I was an agent. When I left and walked away from the Secret Service, it was, at that point, professionally speaking, it was the hardest decision of my life. I did not retire from the Secret Service. I resigned. There's a difference. There's a difference because you don't get your health care, you don't get anything. Some of you heard the story in the past. I certainly don't mean to relitigate it, but I remember walking out of the White House, at least for the last time when I was on the president's detail. And, I was telling this guy, I didn't know I was going to leave, run for office. I went to the Baltimore office. I had no idea. But I was telling this friend of mine, this guy, Steve, another agent, very smart guy. I was telling him how I felt like my life wasn't fulfilled and that I felt like I needed to do bigger things. But I knew it was going to be a massive sacrifice because I loved my job in the Secret Service. I loved it. It was so special to me. I'd worked so hard to get it. And finally, I'd finished the president's detail. It's the most difficult portion of your life. And I'm walking out. And when you leave the president's detail, for those of you who don't know, you turn in your White House pass. You're a field agent that way. You can't just walk back in the White House and go say hello to the guys. I know it's kind of surprising, but it doesn't work that way. If you're not meant to be on the White House grounds, you're not supposed to be there. End of story. So I knew when that gate closed for the last time, that I probably wasn't going to stay with the Secret Service. And I thought, gosh, unless I run for president, this would be the last time I may ever see the White House. Well, little did I know, but my friend Steve said to me, very famous line, he said, Dan, you're going to make tough decisions, but the heavens have a way of putting a price on things. And the price for this was large. But I've told you repeatedly the do matters, correct? You think I'm going to tell you that and sit on my ass again when the opportunity comes up to change things? Folks, there's no excuses. People are policy. You've got to get people in there who read the Constitution and understand it. The Constitution cannot be a suggestion. It wasn't meant to be that way. And good people are going to have to step up in the next 2 and 4 years and make really complicated, hard decisions. We've seen it with Pete Hegseth over as Secretary of Defense, walked away from an incredible career in media. We've seen it with Sean Parnell. We've seen it with tons of others who've stepped away from incredible jobs to go and serve. We have to step up. All of us are going to have to do something. We're going to reorient this government back to a constitutional republic, which we should. We're all going to have to do something. Kayleigh McEnany addressed on Fox last week, she addressed the appointment of now Director Kash Patel at the FBI. She had some commentary on some of the problems, some of the issues at the FBI. She views that we need answers on. I wanted you to hear this important segment. It played last week, but thankfully, Director Patel got through. I think he's the best man for the job. I deeply appreciate his faith in me. It means a lot. Check this out.
And I want to pull them up. This, in a nutshell, is why this man matters and today's vote matters. Look at this. CNN special counsel John Durham concludes FBI never should have launched full Trump Russia probe. Isn't that nice? National Review, FBI spent a year preparing platforms to censor Biden stories, withheld info on Hunter's laptop authenticity. Fox News, heavily redacted records show FBI's targeting of Catholics went beyond what it claimed. That they concluded the DOJ, Biden's DOJ, there was no malice there. However, the headline stands. Christianity Today, federal convictions of pro-lifers blocking clinics are rising. Emily, 4 of many headlines as to why this nomination matters.
Yeah, it matters. It matters a lot. On a lighter note, I really want to interact with you guys over the coming weeks. This is going to be really hard, folks. I don't know how you. I can't speak for all of you. I've met a couple of you, but not obviously the whole crew. And there's 250,000 people watching right now. But I really do feel like you're part of this extended family, almost to the point that when I join the chat in the morning, sometimes I can almost predict what everyone's going to say because we've just had this long relationship. It's going to be really hard to walk away with it. Let that go dark over there? That's weird. Look at the TV. We're good, right? This is my TV. I think we might have fried the TV there too. But someone asked me in the chat, Dan, a T-shirt or a suit and tie? I bring it up after what I just said because I was waiting for somebody to say that. Obviously, it's suit and tie, folks. And you know, when I interview the president, when he's president of the United States, I always put a tie on out of respect. But yeah, there are a lot of big changes. There are a lot of things I've had to think about, security-wise, logistics-wise, lifestyle-wise. I obviously love Florida. Florida is my home, but the job is in Washington, D.C. So that's been a lot to think about. And then, I have a young daughter, and gosh, this is really hard, man. It's harder than I thought. I think you guys are starting to feel this is harder than I thought. I have a really young daughter. Not really young, but young enough. You know what I mean. And she's not used to seeing me away from home. My oldest daughter in college remembers the Secret Service time where I was on the road one year, something like 260, 70, 80 days or something like that. My youngest daughter's not used to this. So forget about the money and business stuff. That's subordinate to family. And my daughter, even at 13, understands that sometimes as a family, we have to make really tough decisions. And that's been the hardest part. But I think she understands that the opportunity to join an administration committed to reestablishing our constitutional republic and bring back the glory days of the United States, you can't say no. Folks, there's a lot of talented people in this administration. I'm glad to be a small piece of it in the weeks and months. It's going to be a long process. Obviously, winding down some of the business components of this takes time. It's not going to happen overnight. And there's a process for that legally and ethics-wise, and we'll be obviously following that to the letter. But it's going to be a long road. But you have people like this in there, too. First, I want to congratulate, and this means a lot to me, I want to congratulate Laura Trump. Laura Trump has the 9 o'clock weekend show now on Fox on Saturday, a spot I'm very familiar with. A lot of you watched Unfiltered. We were in that spot. It's a great spot. A lot of patriots watch news television on Saturday night. The ratings, I'm sure, are going to be insane for her. She had a great lineup of people. And she had a Director of National Intelligence, DNI, Tulsi Gabbard on. And I want you to listen to this, folks. This administration is clear-eyed on what the threats to the homeland are. Remember, you're going to get in positions like this. Everybody knows. You keep the homeland safe. Keep the homeland safe. Check this out.
Joe Biden once said that white supremacy was the single greatest terrorist threat to our homeland. What do you feel is the greatest threat to the American people's safety?
We look at the last 4 years of open borders.
where we had tens of millions of people come across our borders, many of whom we don't know who they are or what their intentions are. And very specifically, the threat of radical Islamist terrorism here within our country is higher than it's ever been before, not only because of President Biden's open borders, but because of his and his administration's fear of being called Islamophobes. They took their attention and our resources away from that threat and once again pointed it at our fellow Americans.
This administration is clear-eyed on threats to this homeland. Clear-eyed. And the people they have in charge right now, FBI Director Patel, DNI Tulsi Gabbard, Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth, CIA Director Ratcliffe, Deputy Director Michael Ellis, they're very clear-eyed on what the threat is. Folks, I'm going to tell you what I said in the beginning, and I'm going to leave it here because this has been a lot for me today, and I really deeply appreciate your support. It's not going to be the last show. We'll be winding it down. There are not a lot left. I will let you know a date soon. It'll be sooner rather than later. And I'll have some announcements about how we're going to transition the business for you tomorrow, so please don't miss tomorrow's show. I'll be on the radio today as well. But the people they've selected are clear-eyed on this threat. And it's the honor of a lifetime to be able to sit at the table with them. I hope you understand why I made the decision I made. Thank you guys for being here. I'm sorry if I promise you I'm elated about this opportunity. I just don't want to pretend that I'm elated about losing you guys and stepping away for a bit to do this mission. And I really hope you guys understand. I got very few people, very few negative comments, but some were a little upset. And I hope you understand why I made the decision I made. You don't turn an opportunity like that down. So thank you, President Trump, Attorney General Bondi, and Director Patel. And again, throughout the week, I'll be giving you more detailed plans about how we're going to transition from business to back into government. It'll make sense, I promise you. Thank you, guys. I really appreciate it. I'll see you on the radio show in a little bit, and back here tomorrow at 11 a.m. See you then.
You just heard the Dan Bongino Show.
We've been seeing people float you as the next FBI director. Would you do it?
Would I do it? Only if President Trump personally wanted it. Oh, him, if he wanted it. I've never envisioned myself going back in government again, ever. Like, ever, ever, ever. I can't say that enough. Repeating decimal, right? But, you know, there comes a time where I wouldn't even take a salary for this stuff. There comes a time where, you know, your country matters more. And I never got in this stuff for the money or the glory or any crap like that. It just happened. And, yeah, it's just, I'm honored that people think that. But, yeah, I'm kind of flattered. If he called, I'd have to consider anything.